Today I want to teach you how to make this adorable jack-o'-lantern hand warmer. For this project, you'll need to go to sweetbriersisters.com to download our free jack-o'-lantern hand warmer template. The link is in the description below. Additionally, you will need 2 colors of fabric, wool felt for the face. I like to apply the wool felt with a fusible web. Today I'll be using Pelon 805, which is also called a Wonder Under. You'll need some fabric scissors, coordinating thread, pins, and a hand warmer filler. Today I'll be using flaxseed, and I'll be putting a little bit of pumpkin pie spice in it, just because we have a fall themed project today. And this is completely optional, but I really like to have a funnel to help put the flaxseed into my hand warmer. To begin, we're going to cut out our fabric pieces. I'm going to fold my pumpkin fabric in half, pin my template in place, and cut around. And I'll do the same for my stem. Pull the fabric in half. Pin and cut. We'll begin the applique process for our face. So first I'm going to put my pumpkin fabric over the pattern piece, and I'm going to trace where the face is. Now, right now I'm using this friction pen, I don't know how to say it. It's removed with heat, so once I iron it'll go away. Now that place is hot, so I can't draw on it until it cools. So that's perfect for this because we're going to be ironing on our applique pieces. So now you don't need to, like, there's like the teeth in there. You don't need to trace all of that. That just is a waste of time. You just need to know about where the pieces go. Now we're going to go ahead and we are going to begin the process of appliquing our felt pieces to the front of our pumpkin. You're going to take your applique piece, and this has already been reversed for you. You'll notice it's kind of hard to tell, but the teeth are in different locations. So when you trace onto fusible web, you want to trace the inverse. So this has already been inversed for you, I guess. That's the verb we'll use there. And you're going to place your fusible web over this. Right now I'm using Pelon Wonder Under. And you're going to have, you'll notice that there's a paper side that's smooth, and then there's a rougher side that has the fusible web on it. You want the paper side up. You're going to put that over your piece, and you're going to trace it. I like to trace in pencil. If you trace with, say, a ballpoint, like just a normal ballpoint pen, the ink can get stuck on your iron. If you were to trace it with the Frixion pen that we used to trace the face placement, then your lines would disappear, and you would still need them to cut it out. So you don't want your lines to disappear. So I just like to use a pencil. So we've got it nice and traced. Now I am just using this crazy scrap of felt. So we'll see if I can get it to fit somewhere flat. And if not, I might need to cut it apart. Nope, I think we're gonna be okay. We're gonna fit it right there. This is actually an old sweater that I had that got holes in it. Oh, and you know what? I'm always lazy about this. And so my ironing board always gets so gummed up. But if you don't trim this off, then your ironing board will get gummed up. So I'm going to trim it off. I'm waiting for it to be nice and cool so it doesn't gum up my scissors. Okay, now it's trimmed. Now I won't gum up my ironing board. Don't judge me. I'm lazy sometimes. Okay, so I'm ironing this onto my felt. Now this felt does not have a right side or a wrong side, but if it did, I would want to make sure, oh, I'm sorry about that. You'd want to make sure that the wrong side was up. So we're ironing this onto the wrong side of the felt. So now that this is fused on here, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut right along this line that I traced. First, I'm going to cut off some of this excess just because it's such a crazy piece of felt. I don't really want to have to deal with it. Okay, we are going to cut right on this line. And if your cutting isn't perfect, it's okay because it just adds personality. This is just for a cute little toy, and it's not like an heirloom you're gonna pass down for generations. Maybe it is, I don't know. I don't know what your plan is for this hand warmer, but I think it's just all about having fun and being casual and not worrying about too many details, because that is how worrying about details is, I think, what keeps a lot of people from sewing, because they get so scared, and it's just not scary. There's not a lot you can really mess up. Okay, we've got our face all cut out. Now we're going to place it onto this piece of fabric. So we still have the paper on the back of our applique pieces, and we need to take that off. Sometimes it's hard to get it off. If it's stuck on there and you can't get it off, what you could do is you can take a needle and you can kind of score the edge, and then that helps you get it off sometimes. Okay, now we're just gonna place that there. All right, now I'm gonna just make sure that everything is exactly where I want it. I'm gonna take my iron and I'm gonna place it over my pieces. I'm just going to set it down. I'm not gonna go side to side. Oh, I just hit it as I was showing you what not to do, because you want your pieces to stay exactly where they are. I'm gonna let them cool. If you move your pieces while they're still hot, the fusible web will still be a little gummy, almost like hot glue. So you want it to cool a little bit. Now it's cool enough. You make sure everything's in place. And now that's gonna keep your felt face exactly in place for when we sew it. We're up by our sewing machine, and the first thing we're going to do is sew around our applique pieces. I'm just going to top stitch, which means I'm going to sew right as close to the edge as I can all along these pieces. Now, technically, the Wonder Under is a permanent bond, so you don't actually have to sew around the edges, but I feel like it looks a little nicer, and it definitely does make it more sturdy. I've sewn around all of the applique pieces. I've made sure all of the threads have been clipped off, and now I'm going to change my thread color so that we can start with our stem. We're going to place right sides together, and we'll just sew around the top of the stem. I'm going to clip the threads and clip these curves a little bit, just so it turns nice. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it. Since it's little, I like to use a chopstick just to give myself something to turn. You can use the blunt edge for the kind of initial turning, and then you use the nice fine edge for a nice turn. And then I'm going to iron that flat. It's time to baste our stem onto the face of our pumpkin. If you look at your pattern piece, it's got this placement guide. That's where you're going to baste your stem onto the face. So if you place the face over your pattern guide, you can kind of see where it is. You'll line up your pumpkin stem with the raw edge on top. That looks about right. If you want, you can mark that with a removable marking pen. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it, and you're gonna baste it. So we're doing a 1/4 inch seam normally, so you're gonna baste with an 1/8 inch seam so that it's nice and small and it won't show when we sew around our pumpkin. And I'm going to back stitch on both sides of the seam and clip my curves. I mean, clip my threads. Now that that's basted on, it's time to make our pumpkin. We'll take the back of our pumpkin. We'll place right sides together. And I am going to sew all around my pumpkin and leave about a 1.5 to 2 inch opening on the bottom to fill it. I'm going to clip my curves around the edge so that this turns nicely. To turn it right side out. And I'm going to use my chopstick again just to make sure that those edges are nice, turned nicely. And I'm going to go and I'm going to iron this. And I'm ironing my pumpkin flat. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing you want to be careful about is this opening. You'll want to turn it in a 1/4 inch and iron it so that it's turned in. It's time to fill our pumpkin. I've got my flaxseed in my funnel, and this funnel is great because it's got a little stopper that I can remove when I'm ready, so I can get it all full and then just fill it when I'm ready. So I am going to add, because we're doing a pumpkin, I'm going to add just a little pumpkin pie spice, just to get a little bit of scent in there when we heat it up. So got that in there. I'm going to use my chopstick to mix that up. Honestly, I have no idea the exact amount of pumpkin pie spice to put in there. It's kind of a random idea that I just had at the end, so I'm just going to mix it in. I'm going to smell it and see how it goes. I think it needs a little bit more. So I think that I'd probably put in maybe a half a teaspoon, maybe, nah, half a teaspoon before. So now I've maybe got another teaspoon or so in there. Okay, that smells nice and pumpkin-y now. So we're gonna put our funnel into our opening, and I'm going to lift this up. There we go. Now you can see it is filling my little hand warmer. I'm very carefully holding the opening, and we're going to top stitch around the edge. Start with the opening so that none of your flaxseed or filler comes out. And we're going to top stitch all the way around. And as you go around, you'll need to adjust where the flaxseed is. You don't want to sew on any flaxseed, so. And there it is. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited about being a little bit warmer during trick-or-treating this year.